Quick. Hi everybody, my name's Adam Clark, and I'm a school counselor. I teach TOK, Theory of Knowledge, and I'm a parent at Yokohama International School. And I wanted to come in and just talk about balance, not because I have all the answers, but really because I'm interested in what it means for us, as it's connected to technology and as it's not. But one of the ways that this first showed up for me is that sort of in the late 2007, 2008, 2009, these were some of the tools that I was readily accessing, both privately and then also for my work. And this is back in the sort of the wild west of some of these social networking tools, right? Like Facebook, I would pretty much accept friend requests from anybody I knew. So I was on with all my students, I was on with all my colleagues. We just didn't know what it meant yet, right? But one of the things that happened for me as a counselor is that I was checking my newsfeed on my BlackBerry Bold, I think, back in that day. And just looking at that, and then one of the girls in grade 10 posted this thing. She's like, I hate my parents, I spent the whole night in the park. So the next morning I go to school, and of course, as a counselor, you sort of file this away as, this is useful information, right? So I go into school, and I see her, and I say, hey, it looks like you had a pretty rough night last night. Is that something we should talk about? And she's like, yeah, we should probably talk about this. So we had a chance to kind of get through that and then figure out what we were going to do to kind of turn the situation around. But how many days would it have taken me to notice that she had spent the night in the park, right? How messy would her hair had to have gotten for me to sort of clue into that? Yet, because of some of the tools that we had right at our fingertips, I knew that within hours, right? And I could talk to her, and we came up with a viable plan. That's just a counseling story. I think there's other stories that connect to that. At the same time that power really came to fruition, I came into contact with this woman, Tiffany Schlane's work, and maybe you saw her video, Yelp, which was with apologies to Allen Ginsberg, is how she said it. But this video is all about unplugging. So here we are, just tapping into the power of these tools, and we're getting this message, you need to unplug. And she focused on two sort of key things. One is that we're distracted all the time. And the video is full of images of people sort of walking around distracted by their phones, not in the present tense. And then the other part was that we're all mindless drones. What we do is dictated to us by our devices. And then on the back end of that is she introduces this idea of the declaration of interdependence, which is we need to let go of these tools and we need to get into the present so that we can work collaboratively to solve our global issues. You guys are with me in seeing the problem with this, I'm sure. It's like, these are the tools, as Clay Shirky pointed out about that same time, right? These are the tools that give us the ability to address these issues, yet at the same time we're supposed to unplug. So the first generation, the balls had just been put on the table, and we're told, okay, step away from that, right? For us, we like this. Not all of us, right? But it appeals to us on a few levels. One is it gives us a very easy answer to our anxiety that we perceive is on the rise, right? It gave us an easy answer to our depression, which we perceived was on the rise. Right? It also gave us an answer to our social isolation, which I think a lot of people perceived was on the rise. It also gave some people the theoretical answer to why gaming is bad. Look what they're doing. And this is why it's so horrible. What they really need to do is just step away, right? It's too simple. For me at the time, I sort of gravitated towards it. I thought this is a good mantra. I presented there's a Pecha Kucha on this topic, and it was picked up by an organization that's involved with the National Day of Unplugging in the United States, and they used it for promotion for what their cause was. At the same time, it was inadequate. I couldn't do it, and it wasn't enough. If you have an angry person on a computer and you take away their computer, it makes them more angry. So then it comes along the second generation, and this is something I encountered just recently, over the summer in an article written by Soren Gordemmer, who writes for the Huffington Post. And he points out, it's like, we're having the wrong discussion. We're having a discussion about picking things up or putting them down, and we need to have a discussion about purpose, right? We need to have a discussion about the meaning of what we're doing, to give our life significance, right? To help us actualize our dreams. This is a useful message, right? I thought, this is great. But it doesn't help address being sedentary for too long. It doesn't help address when we let go of some of those relationships that we need to be maintaining, because we can get so fixated on our purpose that we let the other aspects of what it means to be balanced, what it means to be whole, what it means to be human, we let that go. So what I'm advocating for is a broader view of balance. Things that take into account those other factors that enable us to be fulfilled. I think this is called living intentionally. And I think it includes some other areas. And I'm going to just put these out there, and you'll recognize some of them from some of the work that's been done recently with mindfulness, or gratitude, positive psychology. But the first one, I think, where we start to look for our next generation, where we start to look for answers, is this idea of awareness. And with the idea of awareness is knowing, yeah, right now I do need to unplug. Right now I need to step away from whatever it is I'm doing because it's taking over, right? And then there's other times, you know what I need to do right now? I need to hunker down and get into this for maybe a long time, maybe a day or two, maybe a week. And then when I come up from that, I know that I'm going to feel like I need to sort of detach and get away from that and then find balance again. That will help us accomplish our purposes, all for the aim of tuning in and not tuning out. The other thing I think, so 3 ideas that I think we will start to look at as we move towards the 3rd generation of balance is acceptance. And one of these is just accepting ourselves in a non-judgmental way, so that when we make mistakes for ourselves and we overdo it or we underdo it, that we allow ourselves the space just to be like, okay, that didn't work out so well. How am I going to do this a little bit better the next time? In this way, to be compassionate towards ourselves when it feels like we're being sort of violent internally because we're just putting ourselves too fully into one thing. It's like just, okay, I'm going to be able to be kinder to myself, and of course that extends to other people. And the last thing is to really build in the mechanisms of practice that happen to us on a daily basis so that balance isn't something that we feel guilty about or that we have to overemphasize in our own minds, but balance becomes something that we just do, and that enables us to reap the rewards. Thank you.